finally tonight, this week marked the 24th anniversary of the Tiananmen Square protests. Gwen Eiffel has our book conversation about a young Chinese woman named in honor of that revolt and her fictional counterpart.
Fiction collides with fact in 9 days, a new novel that takes young adult readers to China and back. In it, two American high schoolers, a girl and a boy, set out to find a missing political dissident. The fictional girl and the real-life woman who inspired the story share the same name, Tiana. Washington Post editor Fred Hyatt is the author of the book, inspired by the search for Tiana's father, who has been held by Chinese authorities since 2002. Tiana Wang, Fred Hyatt, thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fred, tell me how you two met.
We met about 5 years ago when Tiana came to Washington right after graduating from high school to try and bring attention to her father's case. And she submitted an op-ed to the Washington Post, of which we get about 100 a day. But this one was extraordinary. We published it, and then I said, would you have a cup of coffee with me? And that's how we met.
How did you know that your father's story could get that kind of attention?
I came to DC, I'm from Canada, and so I really didn't know how things worked in this town, but I was willing to try anything to bring attention to my father's case, and submitting an op-ed was one way that someone else told me that I should try, and so I did, and I never thought that it would be published, and that later on a book would come of it.
Well, Tiana, tell us the story of the real Tiana, including the origin of your name.
Okay, so I'm named after Tiananmen Square, June 4th, and I was born in 1989, and my father, who was a well-renowned political dissident at the time, decided that he wanted to name me in commemoration of his colleagues who died that night, and also in celebration of the ideals that the students had sacrificed their lives for. My father was a political dissident. He moved to the United States in 1982 to found the Overseas Chinese Democracy Movement, a cause that he gave himself to. And he, for 20 years, he advocated for democratic change in China until 2002, when he was kidnapped from Vietnam, forced into China, and eventually arrested and sentenced to life in prison, where he has been ever since.
How do you compare yourself to your fictional counterpart?
Oh, I can't compare at all. She's, it's kind of strange to be fictionalized into a heroine of sorts. You can't help but make a sort of comparison. And the fictional Tiana, she's pretty great. She's, she's smart and courageous and very filial. And I think it's good because it's I think it's good to have someone, kind of almost someone to look up to in this.
Well, Fred, why a young adult book? This could have been a children's book. This could have been an adult novel. Why this particular? I know you have a child who's reading teen lit by now.
Yes.
But what about this story lends itself to that?
It's a story of adventure and of a friendship between these two that I thought would work for kids. But I did also think that you know, there are a lot of young readers who are interested in the world and interested in human rights, interested in human trafficking, which also comes into this story. And, you know, I don't have anything against zombies and vampires, but for kids who might want to move to something else, it might be good to have a story that deals with some of these issues.
Do you feel that you're using this way of telling a story as a way of getting to an issue that otherwise we don't talk about that much, and imprisoned dissidents and human rights issues in a place like China, where the U.S. is trying very hard to work with these days? Yeah,
and this story was a way that might provide an opening for kids to start thinking and talking about those issues.
Tiana, now you live in Taiwan. You're studying language.
Correct.
Mandarin. But tell us about your father. When's the last time you saw him? What is happening with him?
So my father, he's serving his sentence in a prison in Shaoguan, which is about 5-6 hours away from Hong Kong.
He's 65 now?
He's 66 years old, so now no longer a young man. He's has some chronic health issues and has had 3 strokes in the last 10 years during his imprisonment. I last saw my father in December 2008, and I obviously went to see him, but since then I haven't been able to get a visa to go to China, and I assume it's as a result of things I might have said and done. You know, it's in support of his release. We exchange letters quite frequently. I got a few letters from him just last month.
Does he know about the book?
I'm not sure. I wrote him a letter when it came out in April, but there's, when you write a letter, there's a lot of censorship, so when you send it, it's held at the prison for about a month or two before he actually gets it. So I don't know. I don't know if he knows about it just yet, but hopefully soon.
What do you hope Fred to accomplish by writing this story this way?
You know, at the back of the book, there's an afterword by Tiana and by me for young people who might want to get involved in any of these issues. Talks a little bit about how. Of course, the best thing would be, you know, when the paperback comes out, we could write a new afterword about how her father was freed.
The name of the book is 9 Days, and it is written by Fred Hyde of the Washington Post, and it tells the fictional story of the real-life Tiana Wang. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Gwen.